The National Electrical Code, or NEC, applies to receptacles in schools. NEC Article 406.4. C addresses receptacles and dwelling units. However, a school, although not a dwelling unit, is a building and therefore falls under the purview of the NEC. Article 406.4. C states that receptacles in dwelling units shall be installed in accordance with the following. 1. Every wall space 2 feet wide or more shall have one or more receptacles mounted on the wall at a height not less than 6 inches from the floor and not more than 12 feet apart. 2. Receptacles shall be installed such that no point along the floor line in any wall space more than 6 feet wide is more than 6 feet, measured horizontally, from an outlet. 3. In kitchens and dining rooms, receptacles shall be installed so that no point along the floor line is more than 4 feet, measured horizontally, from an outlet. 4. In bathrooms, receptacles shall be installed so that no point along the floor line is more than 3 feet, measured horizontally, from an outlet. The definition of dwelling unit in NEC Article 100 includes a single-family house, a multifamily dwelling unit, and a manufactured home. Exceptions to the 6-foot or 12-foot rule do exist, such as for receptacles installed behind fixed appliances or in areas where the use of a cord is not feasible, and receptacles in non-habitable spaces, such as storage rooms or mechanical rooms. It is generally advisable to follow the NEC requirements for receptacle spacing in all areas of a school, including classrooms, hallways, and offices. In addition to the NEC requirements, there may be additional considerations for receptacle placement in schools, such as safety. Receptacles should be placed in safe and easily accessible locations, out of reach of children. Accessibility is also a key consideration. Receptacles should be accessible for students and staff with disabilities. Technology is another consideration. Schools may need to provide additional receptacles for laptops, tablets, and other electronic devices. When planning receptacle placement in schools, several factors come into play, most importantly adherence to the National Electrical Code, or NEC. While the NEC provides specific guidelines for dwelling units, its principles extend to schools as buildings. The NEC minimum standards ensure safety and functionality. Planning should incorporate considerations beyond just meeting code. Safety is a paramount concern. Receptacles should be placed in easily accessible locations but out of reach of children. Accessibility is vital for students and staff with disabilities. Placement should align with the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, guidelines. In modern schools, technology demands thoughtful receptacle planning. Integrating sufficient receptacles for laptops, tablets, and other devices is essential. This might include strategically placed floor boxes or multi-outlet strips to accommodate evolving needs. To summarize, receptacle placement in schools requires a comprehensive approach. Compliance with the NEC, safety, accessibility, and technological demands are critical factors. Careful planning will ensure a safe, functional, and code-compliant electrical system. Article 210.52. A.1 in the NEC addresses dwelling unit receptacle spacing. It mandates that in every kitchen, family room, dining room, living room, parlor, library, den, sunroom, bedroom, recreation room, or similar room or area of dwelling units, receptacle outlets shall be installed so that no point along the floor line in any wall space is more than 6 feet, measured horizontally from an outlet in that space, including any space measured around corners. This requirement ensures that residents can easily access electrical power without relying on extension cords, which can be a safety hazard. The rule applies to all wall spaces 2 feet or more in width. This prevents long stretches of wall without a receptacle. The measurement is taken along the floor line, meaning that the actual distance to a receptacle may be longer if the receptacle is located higher on the wall. While this specific rule applies to dwelling units, it offers a useful framework for thinking about receptacle spacing in other types of buildings, including schools. The goal is to provide convenient access to electrical power while maintaining safety. Article 517 addresses healthcare facilities. It outlines specific requirements for receptacle placement in patient care areas. These requirements are designed to ensure the safety of patients and healthcare staff. Receptacles in patient care areas must be hospital grade. Hospital grade receptacles are designed to withstand more wear and tear than standard receptacles. They also have a stronger grip on plugs. This helps prevent accidental disconnections. In critical care areas such as operating rooms and intensive care units, the NEC requires more receptacles than in general patient care areas. This ensures that there is always sufficient power available for medical equipment. The NEC also requires that certain types of equipment in healthcare facilities be connected to essential electrical systems, which are backed up by generators. This ensures that critical equipment continues to function during power outages. Article 518 covers places of assembly, which include buildings or portions of buildings used for gatherings of 100 or more persons. This article addresses the unique electrical needs of these spaces, which often involve stages, sound systems, and emergency lighting. Receptacle placement in places of assembly should consider the potential for temporary setups, such as stages and sound systems. The NEC requires that these spaces have sufficient receptacles to avoid the use of extension cords and power strips, which can be a safety hazard. Emergency lighting is a critical safety feature in places of assembly. The NEC requires that emergency lighting systems be tested regularly to ensure that they are functioning properly. These systems must be powered by a source that is independent of the normal power supply, such as a generator or battery. Article 520 focuses on theaters, motion picture and television studios, and similar locations. These environments often involve complex electrical systems to support lighting, sound, and special effects. Receptacle placement in these areas must be carefully planned to accommodate the specific needs of the production. The NEC requires that all electrical equipment used in these environments be properly grounded to prevent electric shock. Special attention must be paid to the wiring of stages and sets, as these areas are often subject to frequent changes and modifications. The use of flexible cords and cables is common in these settings, but the NEC places restrictions on their use to ensure safety. Article 547 addresses agricultural buildings, such as barns and poultry houses. These buildings often have unique electrical needs due to the presence of livestock, moisture, and corrosive materials. Receptacle placement in agricultural buildings must consider the potential for exposure to these elements. The NEC requires that wiring in these buildings be protected from physical damage and corrosion. Ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, are often required in agricultural buildings to protect people and livestock from electric shock. Special attention must be paid to the grounding of electrical equipment in these buildings, as improper grounding can create a dangerous situation. Article 550 covers mobile homes, manufactured homes, and mobile home parks. These structures have unique electrical characteristics due to their construction and mobility. Receptacle placement in mobile homes and manufactured homes must comply with specific requirements in the NEC. The NEC requires that these homes have a main service disconnect that can be used to shut off all power to the home. Special attention must be paid to the grounding of electrical systems in these homes, as improper grounding can create a dangerous situation. Mobile home parks must comply with specific requirements for electrical distribution and wiring. Article 551 addresses recreational vehicles, or RVs, and RV parks. RV have their own electrical systems that must comply with the NEC. RV parks must provide electrical hookups for RV that meet the requirements of the NEC. The NEC requires that RV have ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, to protect occupants from electric shock. Special attention must be paid to the grounding of electrical systems in RV and RV parks. RV parks must have overcurrent protection devices to protect against electrical overloads. When designing the electrical layout for a school, consider the specific needs of each area. Classrooms will require receptacles for student computers, projectors, and other educational equipment. Libraries will need receptacles for computers, printers, and study carrels. Offices will need receptacles for computers, printers, and other office equipment. Hallways will need receptacles for cleaning equipment and other maintenance tasks. Auditoriums and gymnasiums will need receptacles for sound systems, lighting, and other performance equipment. Cafeterias will need receptacles for kitchen equipment, serving stations, and point-of-sale systems. Science labs will need receptacles for specialized equipment, such as microscopes, centrifuges, and fume hoods. Art rooms will need receptacles for kilns, pottery wheels, and other art equipment. Shops will need receptacles for power tools, machinery, and other shop equipment. Computer labs will need receptacles for computers, printers, and networking equipment. Special education classrooms may require additional receptacles to accommodate assistive technology devices. In addition to the NEC requirements, consider the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, guidelines for accessibility. The ADA requires that receptacles be accessible to people with disabilities. This means that receptacles must be located within a certain height range and must be easily reached. The ADA also requires that there be a clear space around receptacles so that people with disabilities can access them. When selecting receptacles for a school, choose those that are tamper-resistant. Tamper-resistant receptacles have a mechanism that prevents children from inserting objects into the slots. This is an important safety feature, especially in elementary schools. Consider using receptacles with USB ports to accommodate the growing number of electronic devices used in schools. These receptacles allow students and staff to charge their devices without needing to use adapters. When installing receptacles, follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. Make sure that the receptacles are properly grounded and that the wiring is correct. Use a voltage tester to verify that the receptacles are working properly. Inspect receptacles regularly for damage or wear. Replace any damaged or worn receptacles immediately. Keep receptacles clean and free of obstructions. Do not overload receptacles with too many devices. Use power strips with surge protectors to protect electronic equipment from power surges. Teach students and staff about electrical safety. Explain the dangers of electricity and how to use receptacles safely. Throw signs near receptacles reminding people to be careful. By following these tips, you can ensure that the electrical system in your school is safe and functional. Consult with a qualified electrician to design and install the electrical system for your school. A qualified electrician will be familiar with the NEC requirements and the ADA guidelines and will be able to design a system that meets the specific needs of your school. Ensure that the electrical system is inspected regularly by a qualified electrician. Regular inspections can help identify potential problems before they become serious. Keep accurate records of all electrical work performed at the school. These records can be helpful for future maintenance and repairs. Update the electrical system as needed to accommodate changes in technology and usage. An outdated electrical system can be a safety hazard and can limit the functionality of the school. In summary, receptacle placement in schools is a complex issue that requires careful consideration of the NEC requirements, the ADA guidelines, and the specific needs of the school. By following these tips, you can ensure that the electrical system in your school is safe, functional, and code compliant.